Going to open the planning board meeting for December 1st, 2022. We've moved from the selectmen's meeting room due to our audience up into the Great Hall, and this meeting will be recorded by Area 58 and posted on Area 58's Halifax YouTube page. The agenda tonight is 7 o'clock, a petition number 983 with Casco, Steve Doms, 314 Plymouth Street, special permit for drive-through, 715. Casco, which is being continued, Steve Doms, 314 Plymouth Street, for site plan review for urgent care, Starbucks, auto retail, 730. A hearing for 8 Hilder Lane Realty Trust, which is continued until December 15th, so we won't be having that part, but it is on our agenda. And discussion on our November 21st, 2022 open meeting law violation from Patrick Higgins in Arkansas. We have no bills. We have some meeting minutes from November 17th and notices from other towns and boards of Halifax. Do I have a motion to accept the agenda as read?
I'll make a motion to accept the agenda.
Okay.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. I'm going to open the hearing
So
for...
Amy, we're not zooming this, there's a lot of people on Zoom waiting, I heard. I just heard. They're zooming downstairs, but not up here.
I guess.
Was it posted as being Zoom?
That's what
I know.
you said the Zoom was downstairs.
I added it this morning by special request. So I guess nobody told IT that we were going to be up here either.
This happened. Let's see what his suggestion is. Please.
So what are we gonna do about
Who
that?
are we asking?
Yeah, we have to
Caesar.
do.
Yeah.
To see what his suggestion would be as far as from a technology standpoint.
So we have a little bit of, I think everybody heard, we have a Zoom set up downstairs, but we're going to try and see if it should be up here because there are a lot of people that are on Zoom waiting to be part of this meeting, and where it was posted as part of the meeting, so we just want to find out about that. We'll be right with you.
Can we, I'd make a motion that we move towards reading this in officially so that we can just check it off of our agenda.
I would almost agree with you, but I don't know if that'll be part of anything we need for Zoom.
But it's getting postponed one way or
I
another.
guess we'll say it again
So
later,
just
right?
get it done.
Okay.
And then maybe
Okay.
we can talk about the meeting law violation from Arkansas.
You want to do that?
Check.
You
let's-
want to?
let's
You want to read?
check off the list while we're waiting.
Do you want to read that in, or you want?
Sure. So, this was sent November 30th. Dear Mr. Milius and board members, on behalf of Scott Burgess, I would like to ask the board to continue the public hearing scheduled for December 1st, 2022 until December 15th, 2022. We are asking for a continuance because we still have to dig holes for the drainage tests. Test holes for the drainage. If you have any questions, please call us, Webby Engineering.
Perfect. And while we're at it, we might as well sign their extension.
Sure. Okay.
This is an extension for Hilda Lane.
Okay. My only question is even if we do these other things and we posted the meeting as being Zoomed,
Right.
we're conducting business even though we
Without
don't
the
know.
other people aren't here.
Exactly. Either
Kind of
we
the question.
posted it or not. I guess what I'm saying is I think we should find out for sure whether we should even be doing these little things before the actual...
This was actually discussed at the last meeting that we would do it.
Right. But it was
So
on our agenda that it was going to be Zoomed for the...
this is just extending it beyond
I
what it
understand
was
that
going to
is,
be.
Right.
Yeah. So we were going to sign this in the office regardless.
Who are they checking with?
Caesar, to see if he could do anything about bringing it upstairs. Why, are you thinking that we're going to need to cancel this? I mean,
If
it
it's
is
posted
kind of
that it's
iffy.
supposed to be Zoomed, then I think you're running into, you could very well be running into
An issue.
violations of open meeting laws.
Yep.
I think it's worth checking. I just think it's,
100%.
even if we have to take a recess to check on it, I suggest that we do that.
Okay.
I don't know.
Do you wanna make that a
That's
motion?
just
No, I get it.
myself.
Want a motion for a recess?
Yeah, why don't we do that? I'll make a motion that we recess for 10 minutes.
Okay. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right.
Take a phone call.
What's the other option? Move back downstairs?
We might have to. We might.
I don't think that the fire chief would like that too much. Okay.
How- John-
All those in
Go
favor?
downstairs.
John-
Aye.
Oh, yeah, we have to vote on that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We're gonna be back in 10 minutes. All right, I'm gonna open up the hearing, actually, this isn't the hearing part. We're gonna talk about the site plan review first, right? Am I correct? Now that we're not here. No, we are opening the hearing first. Site plan review is front and center. Just give me a second. We're opening up a hearing for a special permit. We have the applicant Steve Doms, Senior Project Manager of Casco. It's file number 983 for 314 Plymouth Street. The application seeks a special permit for the provision of Halifax zoning bylaws. Involved in this application is section 167-7C, Summary of Use Regulations. More precisely, what is sought by this application and the grounds on which it is claimed what is sought should be granted are as follows. Seeking special permit to allow for a drive-through for a future Starbucks. Can I have a motion to open that hearing?
Motion?
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Brendan, you just got a text. Could you check, see if the audio's on?
Yeah, I unmuted it, so you can see the yellow ring around it. That means that it's picking up our audio. But we should probably speak a little louder if we need to.
Okay. We are here for you now.
Great, great. I don't know which side you want me to stand on, if it's better if I stand here on this side, or we turn this a little bit towards the audience, or it probably needs to face the board. I don't know which, maybe the way it is.
Let's improv.
Let's go with this, okay.
Cool.
So, the last time that I actually appeared on Zoom a couple weeks ago, it really wasn't obviously to talk about the special permit at that time, but I know obviously there was some concern raised about a drive-through. The special permit just happened to fall afterward in the application process. Since the time that the plan that you did see 2 weeks ago, we already had this in motion with Starbucks. They had made a request to provide actually a double stacking lane to alleviate some of the, well, actually it benefits them too because they're actually able to stack more cars, you know, into their drive-through. And so essentially this is where we had 10 before, now we have 18 in the lanes to stack. I know there was also some concern raised. What the light is now, obviously this road is going to get finished. This private drive or this common drive that will actually access the property to the south too. This will be finished. Traffic would filter in, go through this entryway and then around. So in theory, while you really wouldn't want it to do that just because you got parking stalls here, you're going to pick up, let's say, another 12 or 14 vehicles that would be coming off the private drive here into the property before they even hit the drive-through lane. Obviously, for Starbucks, having a drive-through lane is extremely important. And to our client, the developer that's going to develop this property, without Starbucks, you know, it does make this a more challenging project to continue forward with. If there's no, you know, if a drive-through is not going to be part of the equation. So it's about as, I'm happy to answer all the questions I can. That's about as straightforward as I can get on the drive-through in the request for the special permit. I'm happy to talk about the other two tenants, you know, that kind of go with this. There's an urgent care. I don't know that there's any in your area yet. Clear Choice, they're based in New Hampshire. My company's done a number in New Hampshire. They have done one in North Adams, Massachusetts, and a number in Vermont. They're expanding in Massachusetts. So this is a very viable or very reputable urgent care clinic provider that has, like I said, 40 or so locations right now. So that, you would have that along with the Starbucks, and then the future auto parts, which I forgot I was talking to this gentleman here, actually, it would be an auto zone. I forgot, we provided colored elevations of the auto zone too. So they all kind of go together to make the overall development work, make the dollars work for the developer to be able to purchase the property and develop the property.
I'm gonna let you do it.
Yeah, I've got elevations.
Pass it around.
If anybody wants to see this is the Starbucks in the urgent care. Do you want me to pass that around? Or we can put unfold one of those. Sheet instead of the other one. So,
This one?
to clarify for everybody, my understanding is that we gotta talk about the special permit for the drive-through.
Yep.
Because if that, for whatever reason, doesn't go through, there's really not a point in talking about the site plan. So, we're gonna do our due diligence on that conversation first, right? Am I-
Yes, because then I would need to get back with my client to find out what option B is.
Right.
If, like I said, if the drive-through is looked at unfavorably,
Yep.
then the other decisions have to be made.
Anybody?
Thanks, Ben.
So, everybody? Can we just keep going?
Thanks, Brendan.
Yeah, right. So we'll have to.
And then on the other side of it, it's a
Not yet. Not yet. We'll go us first. Wait your turn, would you?
So, do you have anything else to present as far as the rest of that goes?
Well, as far as the drive-through, I mean, the balance of the project, I would say yes, but as far as for the special permit, it really, like I said, it hinges on the fact that Starbucks would need a drive-through to make it a viable project for them. And then in turn, it would need to be, for my client, the developer, if the drive-through is not deemed to be a favorable
Right.
solution to developing his property, then he has to make decisions on whether he wants to continue forward with the purchase of the property from the current property owner and develop it.
Right.
Do you guys have any questions for him?
What do you have for the entrances and exits coming in to the both buildings, as well as the how traffic's going to come into the parking lot and enter the drive-through?
Primarily, it would come into the signal light and flow, I guess this is north, into the property, but you could, well, right now, there's 2 or 3 curb cuts along this property right now, and we would just be simplifying that to one.
So you're going to have the building to the far right, plus the, which would be the auto zone, Starbucks, and quality care, using all 3 entry exits at the same time.
Well, they'd be using these 2. Yeah, the one at the signal light, they would come into the private drive here, it's common drive, and enter into the property this way.
Wait, I'm sorry, I missed, the common drive is, that's grass, that's dirt right now, that's non-existent, so you're putting a road in there.
Yeah, the property owner here to the south that actually owns all this property right now, I know they're coming to you as a separate petition to build at least some storage facilities or something. And so, yeah, I understand what you're saying. Yes, this would be, I'm not showing on my plan page because they're supposed to pave it as part of their approval process. So that's reason I don't show any improvements here at this point in time because that's.
So if they don't get approved for that, then you don't have
Well,
that.
then we would have to we would have to work with them to, because this is very vital to us, obviously, so we would we would have to bring this down and maybe even have a second connecting.
So to go through the drive-through, they have to go through the lights.
Yes, they would go through the light here. Primarily, that is the way they would use. They would use the signal light to access the property. Now, they could come in, obviously, from this side too, because that's the primary entrance into where the auto zone would be. But yes, they could come in here, obviously, and filter around.
So is one designated an entrance and one designated an exit?
No, so they'd both be designated as entrance/exit. They would both be means of ingress and egress.
Okay. And through the line, now you can handle, well, by doubling the lineup, how many cars can you handle going through the drive-through?
18, yeah.
There's 16 on the chart there, right?
Yeah,
I don't know
there's
where,
16, I think we calculated we could get 18, yeah, again, obviously, people with trucks versus smaller cars, because you're kind of taking an average of the size of the vehicle.
could they be exiting through the same driveway to the light? Because the reason I'm saying this,
Oh, I'm sorry, yes, they could, yes, they could come up this way and go out to, yeah, we don't have any designated one-way.
So they can come in the other entrance, not the light, but the other one, and cut across the front and then go down to the drive-through?
Yes.
so you have cars coming in 3 different ways that could enter the drive-through?
I guess, well,
Well, two.
actually two. You can come this way or come this way.
Yeah.
My thought is that we don't have common drive and we don't have private.
We don't have common drive and we don't have,
Private drives. We don't have private streets, we don't have common streets, we don't have shared driveways. We're not allowing them in any zone. I'm looking for it right now.
here's my basic concern. Okay, we have Dunkin' Donuts, so that's our experience in town. Okay, I know you're nationwide, you have a lot more experience than certainly Little Halifax. But we have 18, 20 cars backed up onto 106 with one drive-through that basically goes the whole area around the whole complete property. And my concern is a public safety hazard. I mean, the police have been called on several times. I understand the value of a drive-through or a business like that. We've even tried to set up where it would be coffee only through the drive-through, so people aren't waiting in line for sandwiches and hot sandwiches and all that kind of thing, just to speed things through. Okay, that's area number one. Now, part two, as far as I'm concerned too, is getting out. All right, people pulling out. There's actually cars, and I've witnessed this myself, stopped on 106 in both directions, backing up traffic where cars are pulling out, swerving around, pulling out, and now another car's trying to pull into traffic. You're going to add 3 more entry exits less than a quarter of a mile away to add to this fiasco. Sorry, no other way to put it. It's a mess.
Plus you're working against the lights too.
And now you're working against the light. I didn't even think of that. Good
But
one.
even just in our bylaw, like, so we are supposed to care about the traffic and everything, but we don't allow shared driveways or private drives.
Oh, well, yeah, that's the whole separate issue, correct. I'm just talking public safety-wise as
Yeah.
far as accidents. 106, last I saw, I think it was a 19,000 average daily car count going through there. So with the traffic being congested going eastbound, now you're adding it onto westbound within the same, it can't be less, it's got to be less than a quarter of a mile away. It's got to be less than that. So public safety-wise, yes, I have a problem with it. I mean, the Dunkin' Donuts handles 16, 18 cars, but then you're going to throw another 20, 22, 25 cars put out on 106. I'm sorry, that's an accident looking for a place to happen, as far as my own personal view is, you know. And I know that the chief of police has tried to work with Dunkin' Donuts to see if we could come up with something that wouldn't be as hazardous, and we got nothing, as far as I know.
The developer may be open, I don't know how much it would help the situation. We may be able to reposition the building, you know, to again, just stretch the lane out further as far as.
But there's still cars going in and out.
You know, we could, as far as this, like I said, right now, there's 2 or 3 curb cuts for the farm, where they are selling the Christmas trees right now. And we were just retaining one of those. You know, and if there's concerns there, just making this a right in, right out only, you know, I don't know as far as alleviate some concerns there, so there's only this drive. Now, I'm hearing something about a common drive is not allowed, so this person, I guess, the seller of the property that's wanting to develop down here, how would you, I guess, get into this property then other than just coming out, if you don't use the light? Is that what you're saying, that you would have to come in here and not use the light then?
Well, because it's entering on the private property, and then you have an easement for your parking
Right.
from that, so you're using a shared common space, which we don't allow in the bylaws.
What do you mean by shared common space as far as what?
So when they come in, they're
Yeah.
using the other lot that we subdivided, what was that, October? Remember?
For the storage units.
The
Okay.
ones that'll be out in the back.
Yeah.
So if they're coming in on that, and then as you see, can you point out the easement?
Yeah, right, it's basically, it's hard, I know from the distance there, it's, let's just say it's right here, right?
So they're now using, some of their parking will come from somebody else's lot. And coming in through private property, yes, using the light, but it is a shared drive, which we don't allow in the bylaw. I'm looking for it right now.
Would you, let me ask you this, would you, I didn't interrupt there.
No, I had an economic question, but I'm not sure if it's,
If where Dunkin' Donuts was asked about it, and it's been our experience in town about, would your client be opposed or to a coffee-only drive-through so that it would somehow, hopefully alleviate some of it? I'm stretching here, trying to do the best
When you say
thing.
coffee, are you talking about just their?
Just coffee. Just drinks.
Or just drinks in general, I mean,
through the drive-through.
They have it at Queen Anne's Corner. They have, coffee only. Way in the back is a drive-through. I know, well, that's Dunkin' Donuts. That's not Starbucks. I don't know if I've ever seen a Starbucks that does just drinks or just the
Yeah,
coffee.
I'm not aware, I mean, I can ask the question, but I'm not aware of it.
If you don't mind me jumping in, just so that we cover all bases, so that we know what the decision is that we're making, weighing out all options. Is there an economic report as to what the town can expect as far as revenue back to the town by having those three buildings, those three businesses in town?
I can get that. I do not have that at my disposal right now. I would need to get that from the auto parts and from Starbucks. The urgent care, obviously there's tax revenue, I understand. The urgent care, a little different animal. But I mean, sure, there'd be some tax revenue to that too.
So I think the reason for my question was mainly because if it's leaning unfavorable now, but after an economic analysis of, well, that's going to put millions of dollars back into the town, that might be a conversation to have. But if it's, well, with urgent care, there's special tax, loopholes where they don't have to pay as much, and because the Starbucks is attached to that, now they have less property taxes, now there's less money going in, so there'll be some, but not enough, and that's probably not weighing in favor of helping the conversation. That's what I would, not that it was gonna persuade one way or another, just a.
So Brendan, what you're saying is just the tax revenue it would generate just putting 3 buildings up?
3 businesses,
Yeah.
3 which may be relatively popular businesses, and if that was going to put a ton of money back into the town, which
Still
would
doesn't
affect
help the traffic.
our residents, then I would like to know what that number is, but if it's just some, I don't know if that's enough to persuade from unfavorable to favorable. So it was just an open-ended question to see if there was an economic report as to what to expect, so we can have all angles considered.
I'm confident I can get that analysis.
Okay. Right, because let's say it was gonna, astronomical number, let's say it was gonna put $10 million back into the town.
Yeah, but still doesn't help the
No,
traffic
I absolutely
situation.
agree. I'm not saying.
Still doesn't help the
He's
what?
just
I'm sorry?
trying to,
Traffic.
like,
I'm just trying to throw it out there from an economic.
I mean, safety's more important than tax.
Yeah, you have to weigh the safety value with.
Totally agree, it was just a financial question.
All right, you taking questions from the audience here?
Yeah, you want to, I didn't want to make sure you guys are all set.
I'm all good.
That's all good for now.
Yeah, I'm good. Yeah, I'm good.
We're ready to take questions from the public.
So
Please,
you're
can you
using
please state
Dunkin'
your name?
Donuts? What?
Can you please state your name and your address
William
for,
Pond, 40 Oak Place.
thank you.
You're using Dunkin' Donuts as a reason not to get Starbucks in? That's what it sounds like. Because they have trouble, you don't want any more trouble, but keep Starbucks out, keep Dunkin' Donuts okay.
I don't think that's what we're trying to do. We're just, Dunkin'
No,
Donuts
there's a
at
safety
certain
concern,
times.
I understand, but work on the safety concern, not keeping businesses out.
Well, we're not trying to keep businesses out of
Bill,
town.
it's just, part of the special permit would be like going over whether or not it would hurt the town to give the special permit because it's like a
Did Dunkin'
special
Donuts get
condition.
the special permit?
I was not, what did
They
it?
have to, all
Yeah, I was not on the
drive-throughs.
board at that time.
Okay.
So when we take this into consideration, we have to take into consideration what would be happening to the streets and what would be the solution for traffic. It's not really, I hear what you're saying and I understand why you would say that, but I think they were just saying that the streets are overloaded right now with traffic. It really isn't meant to be picking on Dunkin' Donuts, correct? And it isn't. And so basically what it is that we have to determine whether or not it would deviate from our
But
bylaws.
you're using Dunkin' Donuts as an excuse not to.
I'm not, I'm just trying to explain to you what we're trying to do. So a special permit can't be given to somebody unless it would be within the best interest of everyone in the town to go against the bylaw.
I think, if I may jump in, I think what blurs the lines here a little bit is that they are in the exact same industry, so it seems like it's Coca-Cola versus Pepsi, right? If you were to remove that it was a Starbucks and put anything in there that has a drive-through, a Kentucky Fried Chicken, a Chick-fil-A, anything, the safety concern of that traffic flow is still an issue, but I don't think that it's Dunkin' Donuts versus Starbucks here. Right, it's a drive-through
You have
traffic
a
issue.
traffic report that says this is gonna,
So that's what they would have to provide upon our approval of a special permit. That would be the next conversation. I think what's also very important is that the town voted, or the boards voted to bring in a Dunkin' Donuts without having any prior experience with a drive-through on 106, and now we've seen the implications that that creates. So we're using that as precedent as to what to expect for another drive-through.
well,
What
if
the
it's
company
24/7, that'd be a different story. I've seen it occasionally do that, right. But our traffic lights do the same thing when they get out of order, so you want to get rid of the traffic lights too?
No. I think what's important here is that we're using Dunkin' Donuts as an example, not as a, well, because we have Dunks, we can't have Starbucks. We're using it as an example, as something that we've passed, put in, and has turned into quite a problematic issue for traffic flow.
And I'd have to agree with Mr. Elliott on that. I was not using it as an excuse. It's the only examples and the only history that we have in our town. And to just add to one thing, it's not just once in a while. You go there Saturday, and yes, there's 20, 25 cars there. You could go, excuse me, I'm talking right now, I have the floor. But you can go during the week, in the morning, in the evening, and you still have traffic backed up. It's not an excuse, it's a reality. It's a public safety issue as far as I'm concerned.
I know.
Me too.
Let's-
Can I just something real quick?
Let's go.
And I'm not saying this to be flip by any means, but having some competition for Dunkin' Donuts may alleviate some of that traffic that was all going there by splitting it off to a second
Hello?
business.
No, that's a good point too.
Just wanted to throw that out.
Yeah.
Erica Rossini, 6 Dearborn Road. I just have a couple of questions. What will be the hours of operation for each of the businesses?
For the Starbucks, of course, they vary by region, but I would say from 5 to probably 10 o'clock at night. For the urgent care, they're actually, and for Starbucks 7 days a week. For the urgent care, and again, this does vary if communities especially have restrictions, but the urgent care we open every day of the year except for Christmas, maybe Thanksgiving and New Year's. and they'll be open from 8 to 8, Monday through Friday, and 8 to 5 on Saturday and Sunday. So it's basically something that citizens can use virtually every day of the year, other than, like I said, I believe it's Christmas, New Year's, and maybe Thanksgiving. The auto parts store, I would say, is going to follow a line 8 to 6, you know, similar to what the O'Reilly's is, maybe 8 to 7.
So that's my other question. Why would AutoZone want to come in if O'Reilly's is a stone's throw away?
Same reason why Starbucks wants to come in, right across the street.
You know, it's a retailer's mentality. My company had also did literally 1,000 Home Depots back in the 90s, 2000s. And Lowe's, we had a mandate that if it was a Lowe's, we had to go out and find real estate within a mile or so of the Lowe's. It's just a competition thing. And I don't know if it's an ego thing with retailers, I don't know what it is, but I understand what you're saying. I mean, you got a O'Reilly's here, you got an Arnold's there. The thing I would like to say though is, again, that gives the citizens a second option. Hopefully it would drive down prices to have two competitors that close to each other selling auto parts. And I'm not selling AutoZone. My company also does, we've done 2,000 O'Reilly auto parts stores across the United States.
So when I was at the original zoning meeting, there wasn't going to be there was going to be the entrance of the satellites, and then there wasn't going to be anything on the rest of Plymouth Street, that in and out that you're explaining?
Well, it was there, ma'am. It just may not be very visible with me being on the Zoom and all, because we've had that there.
No, this is like way back, when it first started to be discussed.
Oh, I know.
They weren't going to have that Plymouth Street thing. And then my other question is, if you're traveling west on 106, are you going to have to take a left at the lights to get in? If you're going west.
If you're going west.
Yeah.
Yes, you would have to
So
use the
that
light.
set of lights right now is just one lane. So if people are waiting for that to turn left into that common street, that would have backed up all the way into the center of town.
Understood.
How is that going to, like, are they going to try to widen that area?
Well, that's what I was going to add, again, since I've been not part of the discussions with the
that's fine.
the seller of the property, I think there's been some discussions doing some signal light improvements. I mean, from what I understand, you know, again, I can't quote that, but
I was going to tell you that we're going to have an issue widening 106 in the future due to the septic systems being put on top of the street. So we really don't have room to widen the street because O'Reilly's is up because the septic system's in the front. And so where are we going to put the street?
well, I think that what we had, again, I'm not privy to all these conversations because I don't know all the moving parts, but I think there have been some discussion of putting just a left turn, you know, and not, you know, doing any additional like lanes or anything other than a left-hand turn. Thank you. But again, now it would not be straight up long ways. I mean, it would be.
So one last question before.
Okay, go ahead. One more.
So when you're coming out of the opposite side, so if you're coming out of Stop and Shop and you're taking a left onto 106, that light is quick as can be. Now you're going to have people coming in the opposite direction, going left or right.
That's
would
all
be-
part of the consideration that we have to take in.
Yeah, I would think that would be part of the city's engineering department as far as timing of light. I mean, I know those obviously.
Yeah, we also have to weigh how much traffic is going to be on our streets and where it's coming from
Sure.
and whether it's going to be.
I understand.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm Frederick Corrigan, I live on Rosewood Drive. A couple of things that I would like to discuss with the panel and the audience. Number one, Mass Law 700, Regulation 5.401, Section 5. No person shall stop a vehicle so as to obstruct a highway. When you're traveling west on 106, there is only one lane. If that driveway to Dunkin' Donuts is blocked, you cannot stop and wait for that driveway to clear up, or you're illegal. It's that simple. What does it mean? Skip your coffee, buddy, just keep driving. Okay? Because that's the state law. You cannot block the highway.
Can you tell us that number again, please?
I will give you a copy of this before I leave.
Thank you.
Secondly, a bigger concern for the Halifax, we want to call it a business district, not a hazard district, but right now it's a hazard, is the 25-mile-an-hour speed limit is 100 feet from 58. For what reason? Okay? Those signs were put up in the 50s. That speed limit has got to get changed on our business district down to 25 miles an hour so people can at least see where they got to turn. Now, I had a meeting with our safety council. I gave them a topic on this, and they said, well, we have to bring in the state. I'm telling you, you don't. I have in my hand speed limits in thickly settled business districts. Section 193 allows for a municipality to opt to Section 17C, Chapter 60 of the MGL, thereby reducing the stationary speed limit from 30 miles per hour to 25 on any or all or town-owned roadways within a thickly settled or business district. The legislation also requires cities and towns to notify Mass DOT after they've made these changes. If you want to drop it to 20, you have to get a state survey first. But if you want to bring the speed limit down to 25 and extend that, instead of having that sign at the end of where it is right now near the wood piles, put it down near the car wash. Go the other side and bring it further out so that the traffic going through here has time enough to think, time enough to brake, time enough to see. It takes 100, at 25 miles an hour, it takes 85 feet to stop your car. At 35 miles an hour, it takes 136 feet. Why do we need 35 in this business district? We don't. And who can change it? We don't even need a town vote. Our town fathers, which are our selectmen, can say to the maintenance department, right here in our highway department, move those signs. The signs are already there. Grab a shovel and move. Okay. Now, question to this gentleman here. Do you have any idea what kind of traffic you're talking about with just the coffee shop? How many cars or how many customers do they feel they're going to have in a day?
We're going to direct questions to the board and then,
Okay.
and then they'll answer us.
All right, second, let me give you a,
Why don't we have him answer that one?
okay, go ahead.
We're 100% happy to get a traffic study. When I spoke to somebody here, the traffic, the gentleman, he said we didn't need a traffic study. Now maybe he didn't understand what I was asking at the time, but we'll get a traffic study.
Who was that?
I don't remember, he just worked for the highway department here. And
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
I didn't, the gentleman, I didn't
Got it.
get his name. But no, we'll get a traffic study. I can't tell you how many trips are generated right now.
Okay, let me give you a little idea. At 6:13 this morning, I was sitting in the parking lot at Dunkin' Donuts. And I stayed there till 7:13. And I counted cars. 130 cars came in that inlet, which means another 130 went out. So 260 vehicles came in or out of that one business establishment in 1 hour in the early hours of a Thursday morning.
Okay.
That's the kind of traffic we're looking at. But because all of our educated people come whistling through town at 40 and 45 instead of 25, it makes it even more difficult. In my hands, I also have a series of pictures that I have taken showing some of these traffic exam clusters down here, which I will give to the board, that even shows somebody coming from the west because somebody wants to turn into Dunkin' Donuts. Now there's somebody out beside them that still wants to head east, and then this other nice gentleman gets up on the sidewalk to get around them to come up the street. Now, if you cannot legally block a highway, we don't have to ask anybody whether they're here for their coffee. If that driveway's open, you're welcome to it. If that driveway isn't open, drive on. Okay? And that's the nature of the beast, because you cannot, in this state, block a highway.
Okay. So your
I will
concern
give you those.
is the traffic?
I'm concerned with the traffic, I'm concerned with the speed, I'm concerned with citizen safety.
Okay,
Anybody strange coming in, and you're talking about putting in an auto parts store, and somebody says, oh yeah, you come down from Hanson and you come up 158, now you take a right on the 106, and the auto parts store's on your left. But now this person's gotta get into this madness zone and figure out, how do I get into this place?
okay,
How do I have time to stop and think to turn?
yep,
How can I watch if somebody's gonna step into the road where there's no crosswalks and be able to stop my vehicle at 35 miles an hour?
very good. Are you gonna give us a copy of those laws so
I
that we
will
can?
give you all this information.
Thank you, friend. Appreciate it.
Okay?
Thank you. Do you have more? Because we have a lot of people. Do you want,
I will call it quits right at the moment.
we'll call
There are a few
you
other issues
on?
that need to be handled.
Okay, we'll be sure to
that
call
with
back.
existing businesses.
Okay, we'll be calling back on you.
Thank you.
Next? I don't know who was next, so forgive me. Chris?
Chris Winowitz, 129 Circuit Street. So we've already talked about the traffic backing out into the street. Other things that we see in the parking lot, you said you go double up the rows.
Yes, the drive-through.
You also have parking spaces, what, to the left and right of the drive-through?
No, just to the, what would be the east side part, yeah, are you talking about, there's just parking on to the east of the double stack way.
Okay, there's not.
There's nothing up against the building. As they drive through, there is parking there on either side, yes.
Okay, so what we see, is there enough room? Because the drive-through, we backed up. Cars have a hard time now backing out of those parking spaces because all the cars are down the middle of the road, trying to go the drive-through up. We also see, because they try to back out and then try to go this way, the drive-through is bumper to bumper, so no cars will let them to go that way out the parking lot. So then they put it reverse and try to back through the whole parking lot as a safety issue. And then,
Yeah, I mean, there's not enough room, I mean, as far as that goes, to back up. Let's say if there's cars stacked here, yes, I mean, that's, unfortunately, that's an inherent problem at a lot of drive-throughs. Unfortunately, yeah.
Another issue is when it backs up into the street, people get fed up and they clearly see the signs, say exit only. They go against oncoming traffic, they'll pull into the other entrance where the drive-through's exiting and go head on at the cars. They're trying to now come in and get to the parking spaces.
Right, I mean,
I can't control what people do, unfortunately, I mean,
Well, I'm just saying, safety issues and traffic coming in off the street.
I want to
well,
ask
I can see
you,
there's
there is an
safety
exit
issues,
from the Dunkin'
but a lot of
Donuts
businesses like
into
this
the
gentleman said right
Stop
now,
and
are
Shop
not
driveway.
out in this area, driving down through
Not
here
onto
right
the
now.
road, though.
There's a
Onto
lot of
the
safety issues
driveway, which
going
is
on,
what he's
especially at
talking
nighttime when it's dark and.
I guess.
You go through the drive-through, you can take a right and go onto the Stop and Shop driveway.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, I wouldn't think that's within our bylaws, though. Did they get a
Another
variance for
issue
that?
is
I don't
Dunkin'
know.
Donuts only has a set of lights one way to the east. Where the exit is here, I believe there's going to be an exit going out to 106.
Yeah, currently, yes.
Now you're in between two sets of lights, and at the commuting hours, like in the afternoon, you'll see the traffic, not even a space open from the Stop and Shop light. Cars backed up, bumper to bumper, all the way blocking the Walmart light. So the cars are trying to pull out of this place now. Where do they go pull out to go westbound? When it's a solid wall of cars, east and west.
Yeah. Okay, good points, Chris.
And one last thing.
okay, well, I'm not the chairperson, so.
A few years ago, the
You
Old
know,
Colony
I-
Traffic Council already did a report for the east-west corridor of 106. They've already identified this is going to get worse and worse, the traffic through the towns.
Yep,
Starting from Route 24, where everyone's commuting coming off onto 106. We've already seen all those towns have to do massive highway projects to open the lights up, put 4 lanes. And the report said that's going to start coming all through the towns.
Yeah.
As businesses come.
So I think what's really important is that although the opinions, which at this point are just speculation, although they are valid speculation points, right? That's what a traffic study would be for, right? And so it is definitely gonna bring in a safety issue, which I think person after person is making it very clear that's what their main concern is, but as far as what we think is going to happen, is we gotta kind of limit that as well, just from a perspective of, that's also why there is a traffic
Got
study.
approved in the
Well, it
site
is a
plan
traffic
review.
study. They already did the whole report.
No, I understand, but by also putting in another
Being correct, right?
drive-through, I understand most likely it will make it worse.
Especially here.
Well, that's why we're here to talk about it
100%.
tonight, but getting too deep down that rabbit hole, we'll be here all night.
So
So,
that was my only point. Like he was saying, if this does bring in millions of dollars, hypothetically, revenue,
Yeah.
tax money.
but not,
And the
right,
highway surveyor has already said in town meetings that we own this road, we're not state roads.
Yeah.
We're responsible for all the building.
Yeah, yeah.
So if years down the road, these businesses come in and we gotta spend $10 million to try to
Right.
widen the roads and
yeah, for sure. No, that's absolutely a good point.
Yeah. Tom?
William Alger, 340 Plymouth Street.
Sorry.
That's okay. How many acres do you have there? 4?
There's I believe it's like 2.1 acres.
Okay. So now, do you have a giant retention pond for all that water?
Yeah, here at the backside of the property.
Okay. And where is it all gonna overflow to afterwards? Into the field, into the wetlands that are supposedly there?
Yeah, it would actually, sheet flow.
Yeah, so we're downhill from there. We're downhill from there. Is that gonna handle that?
Well, we're going to engineer that detention pond will be engineered to hold the capacity.
So would
on
the
site.
others.
I'm sorry.
So would the other businesses though.
And all I can do
also-
is just say what our engineers are going to engineer.
Out on the road, it's already a highway, the town already knows that the drainage out on the road doesn't handle the water as it is. And also, there's a drain that goes from the road into that field also, which now also dumps down on us.
Could I just ask a question?
And we
too,
have been
please?
promised
When it gets
throughout
done.
the years
When he's finished.
that it's
talking,
gonna be
I'll take
taken
it.
care of. So, before that even goes in, I'd like to see something happen downhill. We have pictures we can leave
Please.
also, of all the drainage and stuff like that, that is not maintained. We maintain our side, but nothing on either side of it. So, the water's backed up here and downhill, so it needs to be addressed.
They haven't finished going through conservation yet either.
Okay.
Just a quick question. Could you show us along the same lines, could you show us on the property between the 3 buildings where the soil is perked? Where it's past perk? With all the drilling and testing that they've done? Because I know they perked, or they test bored way down to the bottom part of the plan where the parking lot was. This is the only one that passed. One that passed.
Septic.
Yes.
Thank you, Brenda.
Yeah, anybody can actually see where these rectangle shapes are where they did the perk test.
Could you show which ones were passed that actually, so what were there, 12 test holes? Is that what it was about? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Your question is, sir?
Which, for the septic and the drainage, which of the perk tests passed? Showed that they were able to be perked, that water was able to drain through, like this gentleman had asked, which would be in the area behind, which is currently
I didn't
Nesrella's.
see that any of them failed. That's what I was looking at here.
Where Grover's Pond was?
None of them.
I know that
There's
the
one.
geotech engineer just did their drilling a couple of weeks ago. I do know there's a high water table, obviously.
Obviously, yes.
Well, I'll have to go back through this in more detail, but I didn't see any that had failed.
So there's 11.
11? I thought there were 12.
There's one also up closer to the road. There's one on Washington Park.
Yeah. Yeah, I understood, Brendan, that was the only one that passed. Yeah. No, I haven't seen it, that's why I asked for an official one, if he had an official document on it, because I had heard only one out of the 12 passed. Which means that that area, like this gentleman was saying, is very wet.
Yeah.
Well, we'll take a look at it at some point. I'm sure you'd be able to provide the board.
Anybody else?
No, I was just gonna say, let's just remember that we're talking about the special permit for the drive-through at this point. The site plan is next, so things as far as perking and I know it's all relative, it's all fits together, but for the sake of, make sure to stay on task. Just keep that in mind.
Scott Carlson, 63 Paradise. If I look at the other map, did you find on that road, yes or no?
I'm looking for it right now, but I got distracted by the failed parks.
In my mind, if that is a yes, instead of having the entrance coming out of there, because that road's so close to 106, move it down, directly line to the drive-through.
Yeah, we had looked at
That
that.
will free up all those parking spots, and if it does back up, it will be on that road,
Smart look.
not through the parking lot.
Right.
And then on the exit to 106, make it a right over. No
Smart.
left. If you want to get out of that parking lot, yeah, go lights. Go.
Yeah, I mean, we're very much open for that possibility. I mean, that's something for discussion with the self, or with the,
But he's also saying when you exit, it's gonna.
Right.
So you're not crossing over traffic or hitting that wall and trying to cross over 2 lanes of traffic.
yeah, I
The
think
second
that's,
question is, as far as generating tax, and obviously we get fucking tax.
Yep.
What other tax do we generate off the amount of business it does?
Nothing.
Nothing. So it's just a basic footprint
Yep.
of the building.
Yep. And I'm not sure, did you ever find out, or did you know that we were asking around town about whether or not the urgent care would pay taxes?
oh, they will pay taxes. I mean, they're not exempt from paying taxes. Of course they do. But I don't know what that amount is.
Right. Whether it falls under a special category or not.
Yeah.
It's a doctor's office.
No property taxes?
I'm sorry?
No property taxes?
No, we're saying if, based on the type of business that is being run, they may have a separate exception in the tax code. We don't know if that is what that is, but that was the question.
But they're gonna
We need
pay
to-
property taxes anyway.
We need to be called upon, just so that we can keep everything orderly, because everybody's wanting to talk.
Yeah, so that's something that we have to find out. Sorry.
So my question regarding that, these 3 buildings are going to be owned by these 3 establishments. They're not going to be one person at least.
No, they're going to be one person at least.
They're not going to be one person at least. So, one person is going to be paying the property tax. Doesn't matter what goes in for healthcare or in that building. We're going off the building, not the business.
We would have to talk to the assessment,
Yeah.
assessors.
And the Starbucks, we would generate the 1/4% for each sale. Correct? The meals tax that we voted in,
Yeah.
so we will get 1/4% on each cup going out the door.
But that was my reason for the question, just so that we can have all the information before we, go ahead with favorable or not. It's,
I'm gonna skip to the back. Mary?
Mary Gravity's 98 Clyde Wadsworth Road. I have 2 questions. One, it seems to me somewhat dangerous to have an urgent care connected to a Starbucks with a drive-through. I don't understand, I don't understand why it would be an urgent care where you're taking sick, injured, ill people to a building that is connected to places where someone's gonna be driving around. And I also did look into the whole tax exempt situation. Apparently, if it's a hospital and they're nonprofit, there's no taxes, but if there are certain criteria for urgent care, it will depend on their tax situation. So it does depend on the type that's going in there. The other thing is, in urgent cares, often an ambulance may be called for transport, this, that, and the other thing, if there's an urgent situation there. Our fire and police can't handle that. I don't think with the number of ambulances and fire engines that we have, I don't know that we could sustain that extra additional.
So you're asking us whether or not it would affect our police and fire?
Yes.
Thank you. I think that's a fair question.
yeah.
something that we should look into?
Absolutely.
As far as the urgent care itself, yes, somebody can show up there that should have went to a higher level of care, but actually, we've actually done commonalities with Starbucks and urgent cares that are right next to each other, and part of it is that people go in and, well, for one, they do try to move you too quickly in urgent care. They don't want you sitting there a long time, that's the whole purpose of it. But you could go in and get a cup of coffee. I mean, I know they sound strange, but they're actually common bedfellows in a lot of places we do. So, most urgent care visitors are honestly, you go in, your child's sick, or you need a flu shot or a COVID shot, or, it's very basic. Now, I'm not saying, again, that somebody doesn't show up, they've got chest pain, and they should have went to the ER. Yes, there could be a possibility an ambulance may have to get somebody here that should have went.
So that's going to be pretty much going to, so the ambulance is going to be going more than they normally would for the town. So like I say, somebody comes to urgent care and, hey, you're not supposed to be here, you have to go to the hospital. There's our ambulance taking care of it. So when our ambulance goes there, then somebody has to cover us. And
It's not necessarily true. They have their own ambulance.
Again,
Urgent
Bill.
care does?
Call the police every time something happens.
Again, Bill, we need to call on you.
I held my hand up there.
I know, but we need to call on you. Sorry, but there's so many people in the room. If everybody started talking, we'd lose control.
Sylvie Carlson, 63 Paradise Lane. Talking about water, what is going to happen to our water supply with, you need water to make coffee. So we're already on restrictions all summer long almost. So what's going to happen to that? So to me, that's also a concern. And the safety.
Yeah,
The traffic, it took me 3 light changes to get through, and it wasn't even like 5 o'clock in the evening. So, at 106 and 58, those lights. So, that would just make it even worse. And we've lived here for over 30 years, and what we like about Halifax is that it's a small town, and this looks like it's going in the wrong direction.
So you're asking us to follow the bylaws?
I'm asking to.
Well, part of our job is, as you know, I'm sure we're not the first planning board that you presented in front of. Part of our job is to make sure that any new project that comes in fits to the characteristic of the town based off of what our townspeople would like to see. So that is the main reason for hearing everybody's opinion, because that should weigh into our vote, one way or another.
Amen.
You want to call him?
Stacy?
Stacy Millard, 63 Park Street. Back to what she was saying in the back about the ambulances and whatnot. So if you have 18 cars piled up in there going through the drive-through, and you have people in, where's the ambulance coming in? How are they going to get in there? How are they going to get out of there in a reasonable way? There's no feasible spot for an ambulance to, looking at that, come in. Better yet, if you've got all that tied up in there, what happens if there's, I mean, it's an obvious safety, fire, anything. But I mean, you've got an urgent care there, and that's, and it doesn't have to be somebody that should have gone to the emergency room. If they take a turn while they're in there, and something happens, how are you, what is the protocol for getting an ambulance in there?
I think it would actually even spill over, just to tag on to that. I think it would even spill over into if there was just a regular accident.
Yeah.
Just not even in the parking lot. Oh, that's over.
That's you.
Oh, no, so what happens? Caesar got that.
Is there a sticker on that camera?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah. Jesus, he removed me. All right, so now it's streaming live with a microphone up there, so that's why he just kicked me out. But hey, we got to start. So what I'm saying is even if it has nothing to do with this, but there's traffic buildup from there, and a regular accident happened on 106, and there's a bunch of traffic there, what happened? That turns into a feed.
Right, and I agree with Sylvie that right now it's a quiet, granted, I mean, Dunkin' Donuts can get out of control here and there, but everything can. I mean, Friday nights when they have the car club in the summer, it goes down the street and you can't, all the way down to 36. So now we're gonna add more to this, to just more confusion, and like Amy said, you can't, there's nowhere we can expand it. If we can't expand it, how are we gonna accept more in? That's kind of my question.
Well, that's the problem that I've been looking at as I see these buildings come in and the septic systems are right on the road. So if you can't widen the road and you can't add the traffic, you have to, that's what we have to look at.
Right.
Karen, favor?
Yeah. 66 Clyde Bosworth. Just want to clarify, you said that there was 3
This way.
entrances or exits?
This way.
Sorry, 3 entrances or exits, or am I wrong? 2. Okay.
There are 3 there as it sits currently as the farm. They're
Right.
talking about eliminating those to make 1, to try to help the entrance and exits from the park.
Okay, and I just want to clarify if I heard something correctly. The entrance is going to be a double lane coming in to help stack cars? Did I?
No, the drive-through would be a double lane to help
Okay.
increase the flow of
I
traffic
thought
through
he
the
said the
drive-through.
drive coming in, and then my question was gonna be that I thought he said that it was gonna exit, cars exiting the same way that they were coming in. Am I wrong?
So they'd be able to come in both entrances, you'd be able to exit and entrance is the way that I'm looking at the plan.
As it sits right now, it's an entrance and an exit for both, but the double lane is the drive-through to be able to hopefully increase the flow of traffic so there's not as much of a buildup. Spilling out into the street.
Okay, thank you.
Just reiterate.
I pointed. Did you guys know each other?
No.
Oh, okay.
No,
You said that these roads, 5816, are our responsibility, no matter what goes on?
He said that, but he knows a lot more than I do.
That's known?
So, to my understanding.
58 and 106, I believe, are state roads.
They are, but they are maintained by the Halifax Highway Department.
Say it was stated multiple times at town meetings by the highway surveyor that they're state designated, well, like 10658, the numbers, but they're town roads we have to maintain.
Thank you, Chris.
Yeah, 36.
Which obviously would factor. I'm sorry, hold on.
Paradise Lane.
Before we move on, was that that was it? Okay.
I'm sorry?
I think the Dunkin' Donuts was.
I didn't hear you, who you
Rod Capiccioli, 52 Paradise Lane.
Thank you.
I think the Dunkin' Donuts was a huge mistake. Hopefully, as a community, we're smart enough to learn from that and not add more to that. Once we go there, there's no coming back.
It's Richard Sullivan, B15 Leiden Lane. I just wanted to say that my biggest concern here is the traffic. There's been many times when I've come out of Leiden Lane, and especially during the summer, during the car show, I'm trying to get up to the light and take a left, and you're just sitting there because the whole intersection is packed with cars. And then you have the Dunkin' Donuts. It's just, I just think it's a big safety hazard to put something, another drive-through.
Okay. Thank you.
I just wanted to.
No, thank you very much. Is there anybody else that would like to speak on behalf of the special permit for a drive-through? No? Okay. I believe it's back to us to confer.
Amy, can I speak, please?
Yes, Fred, please.
You said that they were going to do a double lane to go through the drive-through. When they come back out, are they coming out at the traffic light? Or are they coming out where there is no traffic light?
They would actually, they would have a choice. They could take a left. Now, most likely, most people's human nature would be to come up here and take the right out. Like we talked about, I think the developer would be very open to just making that a right out, only right in.
Okay, now, is it possible that we changed that light system because now when you come out of Stop and Shop, it's either go or stop, okay, period. There's no left, there's no right like there is down on 58, right? Can't we change that light system there to where we had the same basic type of system? So if you're exiting and you want to turn left, you gotta wait till you get a left arrow, and then that other traffic is stopped, and then you'll take it left.
It would certainly be something that we should look into if this was gonna move forward.
Because otherwise than that, because the traffic flow on 106 is so bumper to bumper, particularly when school is getting out or when one of the trains comes in or what have you, you would never be able to exit and you would never be able to come west on 106 and take a left-hand turn to go in there because there's no way to cross that traffic unless you change those lights to where there are arrows left and right and straight.
It's hard to cross anywhere right there, right now, I will agree. Phil?
Is he talking about coming out of Walmart?
No, he's talking about coming out of the Dunkin' Donuts where like whether or not you could go left or right or whether or not it was designated. But I think you're talking about the exit on 58 or the entrance on 58 rather, to Walmart.
No, I was going to say coming out of Walmart, you could not possibly have a problem taking a right or a left, but I can see Dunkin' Donuts.
Just a couple zoning meetings ago, when they originally were talking about the storage facility and that extra road that was gonna be going in.
Yep.
With that set of lights, they said it was gonna be 2 lanes going in and 2 lanes coming out, just on that side road. Is that still the case, or you don't know, because that's not a...
I don't know, because that's not part of it.
Yeah, that's another contemplation that I have is that, yes, we should make a motion.
So, to that point, if those, and again, this isn't obviously part of your
Do you?
plan. If there
I
are
don't remember that, do you?
going
Two
in and
lanes going in,
out,
2 lanes going out for the
pull
storage
in,
facility?
if you're going
I think it was
east,
just a road.
you're gonna have to pull in and still cross over wherever that lane is in order to get into that parking.
She said zoning.
Which would
She said it was at
present
the zoning
another
meeting.
issue if there are cars lined up trying to get out of
You
one lane.
had that document.
Correct,
and you
so,
got it.
yeah, if you're gonna take a left into
That's what I think she's talking
the urgent care, you have to cross over 2 lanes.
After you.
So, is everybody good? All right. Oh, okay. I make a motion to, is everybody good? Has everybody said what they...
We're gonna close out public talk right now. Is everybody good?
Make a motion to close the public section of the conversation.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
So based on everything that everybody said, we're not really supposed to give a special permit when we have residents that are saying that is a detriment to our town. And I do think that we have quite a few people in this room tonight stating that it's going to be a detriment to the town.
I think based off of the safety concerns as well as it not fitting the characteristic of the town, I don't see how we can issue a special permit.
Yeah, and I do believe that the water is another issue where we have major issues with water at this time.
Which would be the site plan, which would be next, but from a given because of what's on the board right now, the special permit for the drive-through, I think that ties to more of the safety issue than the water issue, which the water issue is an issue, but for the next topic. But for what we have right now to discuss, I think that the drive-through creates a safety issue from a traffic perspective, from putting extra pressure on our ambulance and our police and our fire, not just in that parking lot, but anywhere on 106. So I would make, if I'm not doing it out of turn, I would make a motion that we deny the special permit for the drive-through.
Okay.
Well, I personally think also that bottom line, that the public safety issues that I brought up earlier and that Brennan just enumerated, it is the big concern. And as far as a special permit goes, it's I believe the wording is it has to be within the established character of the neighborhood and can't be a detriment to the established character of the neighborhood. I think we heard an awful lot of comments that just the traffic alone, the congestion and the problems that it would entail putting a drive-through in there it's too many unknowns as far as I'm concerned, and the public safety issue just
I know.
adds to it.
It's
That's
huge.
just my opinion.
It's gigantic. Right?
Yeah, I agree.
Okay. I also think that not knowing exactly what's going to happen next door with that whole, like, we don't have any clear-cut information on what that's going to be, how it's going to come into it, the easement, you shared parking on another lot that we just subdivided, they kind of created their own hardship on that. I don't think. So do I have a second on the motion that Brendan said that we should deny this special permit for the drive-through on petition number, sorry. I just want to be correct.
983?
Is it 983? I thought so, but I just didn't read it. 983? Is there a second?
I'll second the motion.
All those in favor?
Now, just to be clear,
Denying
is an affirmative vote would be to deny the petition. Is that correct? Do I get that correct?
That is correct.
I-
And we have to write up, what?
Are you going to ask for a voice vote, or are you going to go,
I'll ask for a voice vote, good call. Rick?
Yes.
I vote yes.
Rick? Amy?
Brendan, yes.
I believe it's probably a moot point to talk about anything else on the side. I think unless there's some specific, because you kind of covered, we've covered some other topics here that obviously went beyond the drive-through.
Right. I think if you went back to the developer and had a conversation and said there were a lot of conversations regarding the traffic flow, not just because of the drive-through, but just by doing that type of
I
establishment
would
there.
recommend give him an opportunity
I
to
would be,
withdraw his petition without prejudice, so he has a chance
Curious
to
to see why they would want
go back to the planning board if
Yes.
that's what he said.
just based on from what you saw.
I would do that if I were
You
you.
know,
And just to close, if it's still.
I mean, that's his problem.
I come from a small community too. I don't want you to think my company's from St. Louis. I'm not from a big city. I'm from a small community that's dealt with similar growing pains. So I hear one of the concerns, water runoff, traffic, etc. I deal with myself, I hate traffic. But I do want you
Good to
to
know.
know that if this, what it went through, we would have made every effort to make this a viable part of this community. So,
no, I appreciate that. Thank you for your time.
So on behalf of the site plan, if you're not going to go forward with that, we are either going to need to make some sort of a motion on that now, or are you going to withdraw?
well, I don't know what my options are. I need to have some discussions, so there's no really, I don't know if we can table it, but I can't, I'm not gonna be able to come back in front of you in 2 weeks or something. It would have to be tabled to some,
So do you want to continue, you want us to continue it?
You
yes.
could withdraw it and then reapply. That's
I mean, what are my options, I guess?
Probably
Your
continue it.
options are continuing it will probably cost you less because you wouldn't have to go through the application fees again. It would be like a modification, right? So then we could do that, or we could also, you could withdraw it without prejudice and start the whole process over again, or else we'll have to make some sort of a yay or nay so that it's not past the date and that you'd automatically have a site plan approval.
So, okay, so then if I ask for a continuance, is it that I can project this out to like a couple of meetings from
We
now?
could give you
Because I can't-
60, we could give you 60
60
days, we
days,
could
yes.
give you 90 days, so you're gonna ask for an extension of your site plan.
Yes, I'd like
So
to.
which you can also, at any point, if you talk to the developers and they decide that they don't want to move forward, you can withdraw
Right.
the extension.
So let me say this, can I ask for a 30-day extension as opposed to a 60? Is
You
there like a-
certainly could, but the 30 day at this point would put you on New Year's. Well, hold on, wait a minute, let me check that.
I put in what's the meeting on the 5th?
Be the 15th?
January 7th. It would bring you to January 7th.
Okay.
So would you like to do a 45 or a 60?
Let's do the 30 if you don't mind. That gives me plenty of time to have conversations and know whether this is a dead deal or not.
Okay.
Okay, and then, Can I ask you to do a 45, just in case we have snow days and stuff, that we would miss the first one in January?
100%.
Okay.
100%.
All right, Joanne, do we have any paperwork to do that? Thank you
Would
so
you-
much.
would you like that in the form of a motion?
Do you think that we should?
Yes. I'll make a motion then that we accept the request for a 45-day extension upon completion and submission of the form as agreed to by the board.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I think that would put you to January 22nd.
If you can make it like April, it's warm.
Isn't it warmer here than it is at your place?
It's about the same, actually. Your temperatures are actually very similar to,
That's good.
Oh, awesome. Very cool. Thanks for coming out.
Did we get all
Safe travels. And then she has this that you can sign, and that will be your extension. She'll email that copy to you.
Brendan, did we get all of these back that we passed out? Yeah, oh, but did we get them all back?
No. Can we have any planning board documents that we handed out so that you had visual aids? Thank you.
Oh, I thought Mr. Shea would be trying to wave around here.
I was going to post it in the barber shop. I was going to put it right across the wall.
I was thinking you don't want this as part of the historical commission.
Amy, hear this all over.
What'd you say, Amy?
I said you don't want these to be part of the historical.
Whoa, we're not done, people.
Hi, Judy.
If I got a big, can you at least text me an update of the game?
7-3 Patriots.
Good, guys?
Did they post it fun?
I just want to score.
Application attorney, planning board.
You're welcome. Thanks for coming. Much appreciated when the town participates. Thank you.
Yeah, pleasure. Nice meeting you. What's that? No, it was going, he was supposed to be next for the buildings, but he withdrew. Yeah.
You're all done.
It's all
Go home now.
It's so nice to meet you.
I love my ET. It was Elizabeth Tree.
We have to make sure we list that as documents. Documents, we list that as documents.
I've say lived in Pembroke my whole life.
So this is our photo album. Well, the ones that are cleaned are ours. I don't know if it's you guys or conservation.
Maybe conservation.
Okay? And on either side of us, it's all blocked up over in this other ditch, and all blocked up on the outbound. Inbound it's blocked, and outbound it's blocked.
Well, actually, you could send that copies to the office, but, you know, as far as presenting it at the meeting tonight, you know, we wouldn't want it, it has to be official.
Oh, yeah, no.
So if you could send that off, that'd be great. Send it to Joanne's
Well, I'll just
attention.
give it, I don't send anything.
Even better. Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Nice seeing you again this evening.
Thank you. We'll talk soon. Thank you.
Is there anything else that you guys are covering?
We're not done yet. We haven't adjourned yet.
I really want you.
Yeah, you guys haven't adjourned yet, right?
No. So we're gonna
What's that?
meeting. We're not adjourned. We still.
No.
You need any help?
He said he was
We still gotta do Hilda.
what's in his Fred save your display and save your presentation because he said I'm sure so I have it anytime any of the boards want.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much, Fred.
Amy, we gotta do Hilda
Yeah.
from an hour and 15 minutes ago.
We're going to talk 8 Hilda Lane, which is on continuance. The continuance will be...
Again?
Oh, no, well,
Sure.
live
You guys wanted to make sure that I can still read.
Very proud of you.
Dear Mr. Milius and board members, on behalf of Scott Burgess, I would like to ask the board to continue the public hearing scheduled for December 1st, 2022 until December 15th, 2022. We are asking for this continuance because we still have to dig test holes for the drainage. If you have any questions, please contact our office. Respectfully, Wendy McHugh.
Do you have that extension somewhere? Oh, there it is.
Am I supposed to sign that?
Yes.
That's why I got it.
An hour and a half ago.
Continue Hilda Lane to December 15th. We are extending it out right now legally until January 3rd, 2023. But they will be in front of us on December 15th. While we're on extensions and such, we have Azure Realty, which they filed a petition on September 26, 2022. And their public hearing meeting was on October 20th, 2022. And it is for 592. By the way, the address is not on here. Should I add it? Okay. 592 Plymouth Street, correct? And we're extending it out 60 days to February 8th, 2023. So this is the time period that it will be open. It doesn't mean that we're seeing it on February 8th. It means that I think that we're going to see them in the first meeting in January. Is that correct? Yes, it's fine. Right?
Yeah, it's,
Okay.
You don't want to be back in January. They won't be able to get to January.
So because a site plan only has 45 days to be extended, to be decided upon, they're asking for the 60 days to be added on to their time, which they would have expired around December 7th, December 8th, right? So we're giving them the 60 days, they're asking for it. It doesn't mean anything else besides that. And then follow the agendas and you'll be able to see the next meeting that this will be on. Yeah?
I'll just keep posting.
So there you go.
It's January 3rd.
Oh, okay, the January 5th meeting is when we'll see 592.
But your extension is to the end of February.
That's correct. It's just so that they don't expire, because if we don't make a movement on it, then it's an automatic approval. We don't want that. You got a headache? No. Thanks. Okay, that takes care of those. Now, next on the list is that we have open meeting law violation from no other place than Arkansas. So we did ask town council for advice, and I will read that into record. Should I read the complaint first, I think? So Patrick Higgins of Northport, Alabama, from an organization, Patrick Higgins and Associates, which is an organization, has filed an open meeting complaint against the Halifax Planning Board on November 17th, 2022. We did not announce that the meeting would be recorded. We did tonight. We stand corrected. We will, from now on, make sure that we state that. We posted an amended agenda for the November 17, 2022 meeting, which does not include the date and time that the original agenda was posted. Our town council said that she does not see any requirement that the date of the original agenda to be posted. The requirement is actually that the date and time of the revised agenda be included if the revised agenda is posted less than 48 hours before the meeting, which is 940 CMR 29.03D. And it appears to have been posted more than 48 hours before, so there should be no violation on that. To avoid issues in the future, the board can certainly also include the date and time the original agenda was posted as well in the future. Then the other part of the complaint is accepted meeting minutes from November 3rd. So we made a vote to accept meeting minutes. And and we should have known that they were not in compliance with the open meeting law and that they did not include a list of all documents and other exhibits used to the public body during the meeting, as required by Section 22A of the open meeting law. See attached public body checklist for creating and approving meeting minutes, which we have here, if anybody wants to see it. Okay. So after discussion, the planning board can, technically a list is required. The planning board should revise the minutes to include a list of all documents used at the meeting, which we will do tonight. Let's see. And now we should talk about whether or not we want to have town council answer this complaint or whether or not we're gonna write it up. Yeah, no, in response to the open meeting law to the state, whether or not we're gonna have them, town council, write a response to the state, or whether or not we're gonna write our own response. I personally think we should have town council write our response. Right? Can I get a motion?
Well, I also think that the town council should write it off, especially if this is coming from some kind of out-of-state complaint or something. I think in the same breath too, like you said, researching the different things that it affected the complaint, bottom line, the meeting was posted down with the town clerk's office. It was stated, dated, and timed, and it had a A on it for the first one. And the same thing with the revised one, it was done more than the 48 hours. Again, time stated and registered with the town clerk's office. And also, we've always been the practice of the board that any documentation that was used or references or used have always been made available either on the website or with the planning board's office. So whether or not it was actually stapled to and included in the in the minutes, okay, I think it's a fine line, but if all things considered, it's probably a good idea to have the town council write a quick letter. And again, I think as far as it was also made mention that even all the boards in town, I know, went through my experience in the past, just being with the zoning board, we had somebody come in either from the state or from our own town council to come in and review with every board. I think there's 36 pages in the open meeting laws, and how are 4 or 5 laymen here supposed to know that? Having a meeting and explain it to all the boards so it's as clear as possible and limit the amount of mistakes that can be made. And those were mistakes. I don't think it was anything intentional that the board was keeping from anybody, but nevertheless, you got to handle it. I suppose a response is necessarily.
So are you making the motion that we should ask town council?
Oh, I thought there was one. I thought there was a motion. I'll second it. Didn't you make the motion?
Yeah, that's what I'm asking for.
I'll second it, yes.
After your law, okay. All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Thanks. Sorry about that. Okay, so then we have the meeting minutes that we approved for November 3rd that are in here that we are adding the documents to. Is that correct, Joanne? Yeah. So I will make a motion to accept the meeting minutes as approved, but adding on the list of documents.
Could I just ask who's voting on this where I didn't attend? I wouldn't. I wouldn't be voting on accepting the meeting.
So this meeting that we approved, the meeting minutes would be myself, Rick. Rick.
Brendan.
And then, nope, Brendan and you were out.
Oh, I didn't know Brendan was out.
So it would only be Rick and I unless Mark was here, but we haven't seen Mark since that day. So can we make a motion?
Without a majority?
We can't.
Not without a majority? Yeah.
So, okay, so I will say that we'll push this to the next agenda, the November 3rd reiteration of the minutes, because we don't have a quorum to vote for that. Thank you for that pointer. We'll just put that on the next agenda. Okay. And it looks like we did have an open meeting law class in the spring, and it looks like we'll be doing another one. We have meeting minutes from November 17th. Has everybody reviewed these?
From the 7th.
And we do have a list of documents on it.
From the 17th? I thought we
yeah.
just motioned to,
That was the 3rd.
oh,
You weren't at the.
oh, you're right. And who are you voting on that one?
Myself, Rick, and Brendan.
Okay.
Page 2, on this one,
Yep.
is where Halifax actually approved streets
Thank you.
in 2000, 2010, 2017. Exactly. Sorry about you.
You are fine.
October 12, 2017, streets in Halifax were approved to drop from 30 to 25 miles per hour. So Halifax has already done that. So whoever has to do it, it can be done.
Perfect.
Whoever we pass the buck to, that can be done.
That's the selectmen.
Dig those.
You can write a letter to the
selectmen.
selectmen and ask to be put on the agenda.
Yeah, if you do that.
They really don't want me on the agenda, but I will.
Well, I'm voting for you, whatever you're running for next, so.
I'm running away from jealous husbands. You can vote for me.
That's
See you
fine.
later.
Okay.
Take care.
So on the November 17th minutes that we do have a list of documents, I have myself, Rick Murray, and Brendan Elliott.
Motion to accept the minutes from November 17th.
Okay. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right. And I felt like there was another thing that we were supposed to talk about for Rick on the end.
Request for extension, signatures, notice of memos.
Yes, and the new one too. Does anybody ever, I feel like, just give me 2 seconds, because I feel like there was one thing that I wanted to bring up that, Joanne, when I was in the office the other day, did we talk about something that is not here that, no, right? I think we covered everything, right? Okay. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Are we all set with the, we all approved the notices and letters from the abutting towns and the memos from Halifax boards and
Does
committees?
anybody have anything else I was saying
We're all-
that they want to discuss? I looked through them.
I'll make a motion, we accept them.
Okay, okay. All right. And do I have a second on that? Second. All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay.
A motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn. All those in favor?
Aye.